again. Question, Gabs, who's the father of the Abrahamic faiths?
That's actually funny. It's Abraham. Yeah, you know it's Abraham.
Already know it's Abraham. So Abraham is one of the key the key individuals in all of the stories, whether you are Christian, whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Muslim, you all trace your lineage back over to Abraham. Okay, now I want to ask the question: who does Abraham trace his lineage back to? Who did Abraham get his covenant from? That's where I want to go right now. That's actually where I want to go right now. Be real interesting. That's going to be real interesting. It's going to bring everybody together, and it's going to let you guys know, yeah, like who is the daddy. And I'm going to say that not in the egotistical way, but y'all got to learn about this stuff. This is the stuff that Yeshua Isa, was teaching from the get-go. When he came on the scene, this is what he was teaching. You with me, family? When Muhammad came on the scene, yeah, this is what he was teaching. But because y'all don't know y'all scriptures good enough, y'all didn't catch it. So let's get into this. Let's get into this right now. Because you know what?
Melchizedek.
Oh, let's not jump. Let's not jump. So let's go into the priesthoods. Who knows about the different priesthoods on earth? You have the Israelite priesthood, right? Who knows about the Israelite priesthood?
What the Pharisees? You know about those guys?
You have the Israelite priesthood, and out of particular gene pool, yeah. Who was chosen to be the priests from the Israelite priesthood? What son?
Levites.
The Levites, right? And then out of the sons of the Levites, there was a particular individual during the time of Moses that was chosen to have his own priesthood. Who was that?
Joshua.
Aaron.
First.
You have the Aaron priesthoods, but there is one priesthood. Guess what? That supersedes and predates all of those different types of priesthoods. The priesthood that even the father of all your religions, okay, of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, he had to now bend his knee to and give tithes to. Who is this individual? Do you know? Let's see if any of you lot know this.
You talking about the king of...
Sorry?
Are you talking about the king of Egypt?
That's right, the king of Egypt. But who was the king of Egypt?
Mel.
There you go. That was Melchizedek, the highest priesthood of them all. So when you see us Kemetic brothers, yeah, we're coming in. We're coming in. Some of us are part of certain orders, some of us are part of, ancient mystical orders of Melchizedek. Some of us are part of orders such as the Sons of the Light, etc., etc., etc. So this is going to be another shout out, Brother Husain. My brother is saying, why do you always do this? Why do you always do this? Guess what? I actually have an invested interest, yeah, in all of these three different religions. I actually really do. And behind closed doors, apart from with my own society of people, they say to me, yo, Cal, but hold on, why are you allowing these people to come onto your show, yeah, and you don't say nothing? Why do you allow these debates to take place here, but you don't actually spit forward the correct information at all? And I'm like, I know I hear you, but I'm actually doing the righteous thing here, and I'm not actually passing my judgment. I'm not actually passing my words and actually state anything. What I'm doing right now is giving a universality of spirituality where everybody can bring in their information. I'm trying to bring in harmony and balancement. I hear that, Kalam, but guess what? There's another principle called righteousness within inside of Ma'at. There's another principle called truth inside of Ma'at, and you're just letting people lie right in front of your face to everybody else, and you're spreading what's it called? What's that word? This something. That's this something. I don't even know whatever the word is. And I hear you, family. I hear you, but I'm not going to do anything. But then suddenly, when I come out and actually tell you the truth, yeah, y'all don't like it, And I feel sorry for you. There's even teachings in the Bible that tells you this, never tell a truth to a fool, because they will just hate you even more for telling the truth. But tell the truth to a wise man, and he will be more wiser. Tell the truth to a just man, and he will increase in his righteousness. So guess what, family? We're going into some real teachings right now that isn't really elucidated. So shout outs to those people that are members of certain societies that hold certain information, yeah, but they've been keeping their mouth quiet for so long, yeah. Guess what? I'm gonna do a little information out. Let's get some of that information out, because I know y'all gonna like it. Okay, all right. So let's get it, man. Let's get into it, family. Let's get on some Melchizedek. So who here knows a little bit of the Melchizedek story? I'm giving y'all time, man. I'm giving y'all time. I ain't gonna
There
say
was
a
some
word. I'm gonna
kings
say
at war. I think it was this time that Abraham had to go rescue his nephew or something, and that's when he crossed the kings. In some sort of battle, I think.
That's right. So let me see if I can do some sharing of screen. So for those of you guys who don't know who Melchizedek is, I'm actually going to pull up a little something. I'm going to do a little something, man, a little something. For those of you that don't know, Melchizedek, okay, a little pull up here. It says, in those days appeared Melchizedek, okay, an unmarried priest, son of King Sidus, son of Egyptus. He founded the town of Sidon. He is said to be without father and mother and without kindred from his not being of the Jewish race, and because his parents being wicked, they were not reckoned among the good. And because being ruler or prince among Canaan, he reigned at Jerusalem. He met Abraham as a priest, figuring with bread and wine, the bloodless sacrifice of Christ our God. This is actually coming from where is this coming from? Actually, this is actually coming from a Christian literature telling you a little bit more of Melchizedek. For those of you guys who don't know, if you go to your Bibles into, let me just quickly do it right now. What is it not showing the right screen? Let me just share my screen with you guys so y'all could know when we're talking, we're coming from places of authority. Genesis 14, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I believe it's Genesis 14:18. So real quickly, let's just jump into this so y'all can see. And it says here, okay, so there was a big war that took place with some kings over in Mesopotamia coming over into the land of Canaan, which is the land of the Hamites, of Kemet basically. And Abraham actually slaughtered and slew all of these people, and he came to the king. Who was this king? It says here, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which had delivered thine enemies to thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom came unto Abram, give me persons and the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heavens and earth, that I will not take from a thread, even a shoe, latchet, and that I will not give anything, etc., etc., etc. But the main point here is this particular person, this mysterious figure, has appeared out of nowhere, without mother and without father, okay, which is Melchizedek, the king of Salem, okay, the king of Salem. I want you to say king of Salem quickly.
King of Salem.
King of Salam.
Salam.
You have an extra quick question, man.
And king of Shalom.
King of Shalom.
Let me ask a quick question, bro.
Go ahead.
Was that land called Egypt or Kemet? Because like if it was called Egypt or Kemet, so I mean if it was called Kemet, why did they call it Egypt? Were they accurate when they say that?
It's Greek.
Okay, so the land itself, the land itself, for example, we're going through the Genesis story and we're going through that narrative.
Kemet is in the south though, yeah?
No, we're going to go through the
Egypt?
narrative. No, if we're going to go through the narrative of the Bible, when you're talking about Chem or Ham is the son of Noah, one of the three sons of Noah, basically. And Ham had 4 sons. The 4 sons represents Cush, Phut, which is supposedly Libya, Canaan, which is where you have like the Syria, Jerusalem, Lebanon region there, and you have Misri, which is also Egypt, kind of like the Egypt proper, like
okay, I see what you mean.
Egypt
Get into
proper,
the
Egypt proper-ish. Yeah, so those are the 4 sons of Ham. So the 4 districts of Kemet itself. All right, so these are the 4 districts of Kemet. When you go into look onto the maps of Kemet or the powers, or sorry, the geographic location of Kemet, you see as far as how far they ruled, basically, and you see that it covers all of those 4 different regions there. But it's just the Hebrews actually giving their narrative or mythos of these people itself. So yeah, it does correlate somewhat.
Right.
You know, we go ahead.
So Egypt was called Kemet, right?
Egypt. Egypt.
Nah, I don't think it was.
Egypt itself is a Greek word, Egyptos, which is said to be an Egyptianized, sorry, a Greek of saying Hekapata. Hekapata became Aiguptus, and Aiguptus became Latinized as Egyptus, and Egyptus became Anglicized as Egypt. But originally it was called, you know, in the language of the Greeks, it was called Aigoptus, which is the Kemetic or Memphis. The city of Memphis was called, or the Great House, or the Great White House was called Het-Ka-Ptah, which literally means the house or the temple of the spirit of Ptah. That is where the name Egyptus.
So what language were
or
they talking in
comes
Kemet?
from. Kemet was talking in, it had various different languages, but the state-sponsored language, or the state language itself, is the Medo-Neter, which is known as the hieroglyphs.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So when you say that the Kemet is a Greek word,
Not Kemet.
Not Kemet, Egypt.
Oh, Kemet. What kind of word is that?
Yes.
I mean, was that was said in Egypt time? Or?
Egypt
Probably.
Egypt is the anglicized way, anglicized, meaning English version of the Latin word Egyptos, which is the Latinized version of the Greek word Aiguptus, which is the Greek way of saying Hekapata.
Right. So which one was the oldest? I kind of want to get this understanding. Which one is older, Kemet or Africa? Which word is older,
The term
Kemet or Africa?
Kemet or Chami or Chamia or Chamut is literally one of the oldest words for Egypt. One of the words for Egypt. You have other words such as Tameri. You have other words such as the Tawi, the 2 lands, and so forth. It's pretty much older. The term Africa is actually a Latinized way of saying, when you have the CA at the end, usually it's usually depicting a area or a country from the Latin, and the original, as written by Josephus in his, I believe it's the Antiquities. In his Antiquities, he basically states there that the name of Africa literally comes from the Afar people, or the Afri people. The Afri
And he was a
people
Roman, yeah?
in North. Sorry, no, nothing to do with Scipio Africanus. Nothing to do.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to speak out against people like Tariq Nasheed, which actually allowed this lie to be perpetuated throughout the community. Africanus Scipio, it's got nothing to do with the name Africa proper. It predated Africanus Scipio. He got his name from the people in Afri, or the Afar people, or the African people that was there in northern Tunisia.
Yeah, but who was there before them, though? It was the
sorry?
Tunisia was Carthage, wasn't it?
Carthage, correct.
And they was the people that went to war with Rome in it. So these was Caucasians living all along there, and the Phoenicians as well in it.
There was a different groups of people that was living along that region, depending what time frame you're talking about.
Yeah, loads of different people have invaded there in it.
That's
but
right.
originally there was a lot of Caucasians there along the Mediterranean, isn't it?
Right.
I don't know.
Originally, when you go to the stories of the Greeks who first recorded these people that was actually there was Africoid people that was originally there. Then you had different, how can I put it, colonizations of people coming in. You had the Phoenicians coming in. You have the Greeks coming in. They were still heavily melanated people.
Yeah,
that was there and still there up to this day.
Yeah, see, the thing is that, like, I just believe that the original inhabitants of, let's say, northern Egypt along the Mediterranean, were like Caucasian people in it. And then obviously over time they've mixed and brought in, slaves and whatnot, and then people have mixed, in it.
Okay.
You know what? I
Okay.
haven't got the time to actually go through all of that today with you. All I can say to you, I'm gonna have to to a book called by Sheikh Anta Diop called The African Myths or something like that. Something about the African myths. I might get it up somewhere to show to you.
Cool.
My gosh. Yeah, I'll have to just get it for you and show you it and show you other books because I don't even want to have to go in through the historical records of showing you how all the Greeks and the Romans and the Arabs and the Hebrews and all different types of Phoenicians and
loads of
Persians
people have been
all
through
stated that these individuals were African black people, black skinned, dark skinned people with curly hair, etc. I haven't got time and energy to go through that today with you to educate you. But I would definitely put you towards some good books later on in the show, and also some good documentaries that you may need to go and watch, especially from well reputable companies such as some other reputable companies where you can go watch these stuff on. But today that's going to be a long list to go through with you. But anyways,
all right.
You want to ask a question, bro?
God damn, question after question. I was trying to get into this. Go ahead.
Oh my bad. Go ahead, man. Do your thing then.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go on. What's the question, real quickly?
Did the Africans call themselves Africas, or was it just the Romans?
So the people were called Afri or Afar people originally. If they were Latinized or if they spoke the Latin language, then they would have called themselves.
No, I'm talking about the Africans.
Which Africans?
Did the Africans call themselves Africans, or did the people in Africa call themselves Africans or Africas?
No, the people in Africa wouldn't have called themselves, or in Africa proper, like in the rest of Africa, no, they wouldn't have called themselves Africans. They wouldn't have. It's only in a particular time frame where we have been colonized and Europeanized that we now utilize certain languages such as English, where we speak English. Hence, we will call ourselves Africans. But people within inside of Africa proper don't even call themselves African. Do they even call themselves by their country that they belong to, such as Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Uganda, etc., etc.? Most people don't actually do that. Most people actually go by the tribal names themselves. So they will say, I'm Ga, I'm Afanti, I'm Ashanti, I'm Asante, I'm Fula, I'm Fulani, I'm Hausa, all these different names. That's how usually people in Africa proper actually relate to each other, as majority of the time by their tribal names.
Okay, just to be clear, so Africa is just like one region, right?
So Africa, back in the day, we now need to go into history and geography to realize what time frame we're talking about. And Africa, especially Northern Africa, I'm speaking in today's term, Northern Africa, especially from Tunisia all the way Tunisia, Algeria, and maybe not Algeria, Tunisia and Libya, and even a little bit of Egypt. That region there was called Africa. That region there alone was called Africa. Apart from that, you had the area known as Egypt, called Egypt, and the rest of Africa. If you go into certain Greek works, they call them Etheria, or they call them Atlantis, or they call them Ethiopians. Those were the majority of the names that was used by the Greeks to refer to the rest of Black Africa.
Yeah, it's just like it was just that name was kind of like in both. It was in that northern region, and it was in the Egypt region called Africa, like for the Romans.
Correct.
So I was kind of confused on which regions, or is it all one region?
Correct. It was basically where the Romans or the Romans had trading posts, and that region, they would refer to that region alone as Africa. The remainder of what we know as different countries was never referred to that by these people, by the Greeks or by the Latins or Romans. It's only later on, due to cartography and roughly, I can't even say the 16th, 17th, maybe even the 18th century, 19th century. That's when we now have this homogeneous name for the continent known as Africa. But prior to that, it was never known as a homogeneous name of Africa. No.
Okay, so I got you. We go on the next thing.
All right. Yo, Gabs, Mrs. Man, coming real quickly, G. What you saying?
Yo, Medea. You hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
So what I actually wanted to go to, I wanted to go into this was, let's see, we're going to go into some Bible real quickly, I wanted to go into this. So you lot could understand, that Egypt, and our priesthood was considered to be the highest priesthood of them all. That's what I really wanted to go into for most people who do not know. So it says here, Hebrews 7:1. So I've now jumped from, Genesis, Christian text. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace, without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils. And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham, whose descent is not counted from them, received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him, and that had the promises. All the contradiction, without all contradiction, that less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them, of whom it is witness that he liveth. And as I may also, and as I,
You are muted, Kalam.
Mine's gone quiet, bro.
okay, how is it now? Somebody must have muted me, man. No?
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyways, it says here, if therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should arise after the order of Melchizedek, old after the order of Aaron? For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judea, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. And it is yet for more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek there ariseth another priest, who is made not after the law of carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. For he testifieth, thou art priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandments, going before the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. I'm getting tired of reading. Right, it's quite a long passage, but basically saying that there was a priesthood, and there was a Levitical priesthood, and there was a priesthood of Aaron, which was two grand priesthoods. But guess what? There is even a priesthood which even predates that and is an antecedent to that, which even the Levitical and the Aaronic priesthood had to even give tithes through via the loins of being children of Abraham. So that means that Abraham actually gave tithes to a higher priesthood itself, was educated by a higher priesthood itself, was given bread offerings by a higher priesthood itself that predates it. And even Jesus had to now inherit it because he was after the order of Melchizedek. Why did he have to be after the order of Melchizedek? That is going to be very interesting, and I will little bit, but hint, I will tell you this, because of course, according to them, he was not part of the Levitical priesthood. He was not part of the Levitical priesthood. That's why most of the priests and Pharisees were looking at him.
Your mic, bro. Your mic.
Oh man, trying to stop my shine. Let me do it like this then. So yeah, you wasn't educated from a particular priesthood, so why are you even talking? But of course, he sprung forth from the priesthood of Melchizedek. Okay, a very ancient, a very mystical priesthood that he was a member of. What's very interesting is this. You know what's very interesting? Should I tell you what's very, very interesting? the priesthood of Melchizedek. Melchizedek had no mother and father, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
I'm gonna drop a quick little hint in the secret. But who also had no descent as well? Who had no father?
Who had no father?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Jesus is father, right? One has to actually question and wonder, what does it mean to have no father? And does it literally physically mean that you have no person that gave you your Y chromosome, that never impregnated or put sperm inside of a woman? Or does it mean something else? Which when you go into the Talmud, you'll understand what it actually means. But anyway, I'm not going to digress because I'm not even going to break forward those type of secrets there. Them ones there are the mysteries right there that shouldn't be spoken out loud. God damn.
Would that include a Horus and Heru as well with the Sa?
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
Go. There you go. It's right there. So this priesthood, for those people who don't know, is the priesthood that actually educated and schooled another person and gave another person their priesthood. And who am I talking about right now? I'm actually talking about Abraham. Abraham was given his priesthood, was given his authority, okay? Was given his priesthood and given his authority via the Most High's priesthood, okay? The Most High's priesthood, it was given to him. Quickly take over so I can actually just show and prove something.
Do you have any evidence of that, of that he became a priesthood other than the story that was in the book?
What is he? What is the evidence of?
Abraham was a priesthood other than the book, like any evidence of that other than used in the book that Abraham was a priesthood or a priest.
Oh, okay. In the Bible, Kalam, you might show you some of that.
Right.
Was there any other questions that you had? Because I know you seem like you have a lot of questions. I can tell.
Oh yeah, it was that, and did the scientists knew these Kemetic people?
Which scientists?
The people who study Egyptology, did they knew the Kemetic people?
All right.
What do you mean?
So let's go.
Hold on.
Let's go into this because we'll go off track. So as we're talking, he talks about Melchizedek. So we're going in here to talk about Melchizedek. Melchizedek, this place made its habits righteous, and the king of Zedek. So we're going into the Midrash of Genesis, Midrash Rabbah. So this is the Jewish tellings of what's going on basically here. Jerusalem is called Sedek, righteousness, as it is written Sedek, lodged in her, king of Shalem. Isaac, the baby Babylonian, said, this implies that he was born circumcised, brought forth bread and wine. Samuel B. Nahum said, he instructed him in laws of the priesthood. This is Melchizedek. This is called the Midrash, okay? Midrash Rabbah Genesis, okay? So this is
right. I was my bad. I must have misguided my question. My question was, do you have any evidence other than a book that shows that Abraham was a priesthood?
Okay, so no, Abraham is only a person that lives within inside of literature and not in terms of historical veracity and facts and proofs. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So, and it says here that brought forth bread and wine. Okay. And it says, instructed him in the laws of the priesthood, bread alluding to the shewbread and wine to libations. The rabbi said he revealed Torah to him, as it is written, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine which I have mingled. And he was a priest of the God Most High. Wherever wine is mentioned in the Torah, it leaves its mark, except the presence, etc., etc. So quite clearly, okay, according to the Jewish scholars now, they're telling you that this particular Abraham was educated in the priesthood by the Most High's priest itself. Who was God the Most High's priest itself? It was, of course, Melchizedek. Melchizedek actually educated him. And I want to know gaps. I want to go into so we can jump talking about the education system. And I want you to tell me, okay? We spoke about this the other day, okay? if you want to come into the Kemetic school system, what must you do? What's number one? In order to come into the school system, what must you be?
You need to be initiated in.
That's right. That's right. You need to be initiated in.
Yeah.
So we're going to see, this is the hypothesis now. You actually need to be educated into the system to come and be a member of that particular system. Question. What is that initiation process in Kemet? Let us go to Alexandra of Clement, which is basically a Christian scholar writing in Egypt. And he basically says here, he gives a very nice breakdown of what takes place, what happens to you, what do you need to do in order to be educated in Kemet in Egypt itself. And we're going to see if this took place at all with Abraham. Okay, it says here, Thales. So this here is talking about all different Greek philosophers who were educated in different lands. Okay, and it says here, Thales was a Phoenician by birth and was said to have consulted with the prophets of the Egyptians, as also Pythagoras did with the same persons, whom he was circumcised, that he might enter the adytum and learn from the Egyptians the mystic philosophy. Okay, so remember, he was asking about all of these things that's going on. Is it really to do with education? Quite clearly, it says here that Pythagoras, okay, and others, okay, had to be, number one, circumcised to enter into the temple system to learn the mystic philosophy. So, question: after God was speaking, after Abraham had an encounter with God the Most High, Highest priest who spoke in the name of God, did Abraham get circumcised at all? Question: does anybody know? Did Abraham get circumcised?
Yeah.
For those of us who never go into everything, of course he got circumcised, and he had a particular right that every single one of his sons would have to be circumcised and follow the Millet Ibrahim. The Millet Ibrahim, and you'll know it inside of my Jewish brother right now. You would know it, my Jewish brother, Pio, or my ex-Jewish brother. Let's see if you know. What is the rite of circumcision called? Oh, you don't know? Okay, it's the Milah Berith. The Milah Berith is the rite of joining a particular covenant. Berith means covenant. And this was the rite that had to take place, okay, in order to join a particular covenant. And this covenant was now established with one individual that passed down from father to son, etc., etc. And when you start now going into, your studies of the Quran, it tells you this information as well. If you go into the Quran, I believe it was Surah 2 verses 1 to 4. If you read that onwards, it will tell you that you have to be, it will tell you about this particular millat. Should I show you? Let me just quickly show you. I always like to just back up stuff, just real quickly. So real quickly, it tells you about it real quickly over here. Okay, and I mentioned when Abraham was tried by his Lord. So this is going to be something else I'm going to have to go into. Was tried by his Lord with commands, and he fulfilled them. He said, indeed, I will make you a leader of the people. And he said, and of my descendants, my covenant does not include the wrongdoers. I wonder who the wrongdoers was. Anyways, and when we made the house a place of return for the people, it didn't take from the same place of Abraham. And we charged Abraham and Ishmael, purify my house for those people who perform tawaf, etc., bow and prostrate. And mention when Abraham said, my Lord, take this is a secure city and provide for it, etc., etc. It says here, when Abraham raising the foundation of the house said, oh Lord, except from us, indeed, you are hearing and knowing, our Lord, and make us Muslims. Remember that? Muslim. Yeah, remember the city or the temple of peace. Okay, this is the city of peace, which is really the Per of peace, or the Per Shalom, or the Per Hotep, the place of peace, where Muslims, or those people who took that particular covenant, now become the ones who submitted to that covenant and had to continue it by performing the rites. We're going to get into that in a minute. To you, and from the descendants of a Muslim nation, to you, and show us our rights and accept our repentance. Indeed, you are acceptings of repentance. Okay, So this is talking about the particular rites that they had to do. Okay, it says here, our Lord, send among them messengers from themselves who will recite to them your verse, teach them the book and wisdom, and purify them. Indeed, you are exalted in might and wise. And who would be adverse to the religion of Abraham except one who makes a fool of himself? And we had chosen him in this world, and indeed in the hereafter, and so forth and so forth. Okay, and it says here, when his Lord said to him, submit, he said, I have submitted to the Lord of the worlds. Okay, for those people who know about the Lord of the worlds, it's talking about the two different, the heavens and the earth that Abraham spoke about previously, and they all had to follow a particular rite called the Millet Ibrahim, the rite of passage, which is to do, the marking of the rite is to do with the blood sacrifice, which is literally cutting your skin, being circumcised. And this particular phenomenon, as we all know, for those of people who don't actually know, this is an African phenomena. Why do I say it's an African phenomena? Because all we need to literally go and do is go into the works of Herodotus, and it tells you where these people, where these Hebrews actually got this right from. Let's just quickly go into it so you can see that what we're saying is all right and exact.
Jesus, this is a lot of, you're just splashing a lot of medicine, bro.
A lot of medicine.
No, that's what you're doing. You're basically taking off the lid, yeah, and just splashing the medicine around. You know, you're just splashing it around in the air.
Let's go there now. It says here, this is Herodotus. If you go into Herodotus book 2, you'll find this. Okay, it says here, there can be no doubt that the Colchians are an Egyptian race. Before I had any,
it's not on the screen. It's not on the screen, bro.
All right, let me just change
Still
it
got
up.
Quran.com.
Okay. So let's change it up. There we go. Herodotus right now. It says here, there can be no doubt that the Colchians are an Egyptian race. Before I heard any mention of the fact from others, I had remarked it myself. After the thought had struck me, I made inquiries on the subject, both in Colchis and in Egypt. And I found that the Colchians had a more distinct recollection of the Egyptians than the Egyptians had of them. Still, the Egyptians said that they believed the Colchians to be from the army of Sesostris. My own conjectures were founded first on the fact that they are black. Question: they are black-skinned and have woolly hair, which certainly amounts to but little, since several other nations are too. But further and more especially on the circumstances that the Colchians, the Egyptians, and the Ethiopians are the only nations who have practiced circumcision from the earliest times. The Phoenicians and the Syrians of Palestine. Okay, so the Phoenicians and the Syrians of Palestine. So this is where the Jews are, really and truly. If you want to place them into history, this is where the Jews are residing. Confess that they learned the custom of the Egyptians. Who they learn it of the Egyptians, and the Syrians who dwell about the rivers, etc. as well. Their neighbors, the Macedonians, say that they have recently adopted it from the Colchians. Now, these are the only nations who use circumcision, and it is plain that they all imitate herein the Egyptians with respect to the Ethiopians. Indeed, I cannot decide whether they learned the practice of the Egyptians or the Egyptians of them. It is undoubtedly of very ancient date in Ethiopia, but that the others derive their knowledge of it from Egypt is clear to me from the fact that the Phoenicians, when they come to have commerce with the Greeks, cease to follow the Egyptians in this custom and allow their children to remain uncircumcised. Okay, so this right here was very paramount. Okay, even if you was a priest, you had to make sure, okay, you had to be circumcised. It goes on here to tell you about the priesthood and what they had to do, basically how the priests would actually, how they washed their cups, how they used to wear white linen. I wonder what groups of people you see today wearing white linen or white garments, which they were especially careful to have always fresh with water. They practiced circumcision for the sake of cleanliness, considering it better to be cleanly than cleanliness. The whole body every other day, no lice, etc., etc. So this is about the priesthood and what they had to do. These are the certain rites that the priest had to do. And if you wanted to come into our system, you had to make sure you were able to do a sacrifice to know that you were willing to learn from our mystery system. You with me, family?
God damn.
So are you saying that the Egyptians were circumcised before Abraham?
Brother, keep up. You got to keep up, bro. Of course, 100%.
I'm keeping up. I'm just making sure, just to pretty much clarify what I'm hearing.
What you're hearing and what you're seeing, brother.
Right.
And you know what?
Yeah.
That is one historical account. But guess what? We can always do one better, can't we? You know what we can always do? We can always do one better. How can we do one better? Let me actually go and check this now. Ancient Egyptian royal circumcision. There we go. So now I'm going to quickly share my screen with y'all so you can see certain things. This is just key stuff that we should just know. So over here, okay, it gives you a nice introduction to certain things. And I just want to quickly scroll down, description scene, scroll down. Okay. Scroll down maybe. Let me see if I can scroll down a little bit more. Okay. I wanted to see. Let's give me a date. Let me give me a date. How can I do a date real quickly so you can see how far back circumcision was taking place? Okay. 6th dynasty. Let's go into that. This is what it says here. Okay. For a long time, the non-royal scenes from the tomb of blah, blah, blah of the 6th dynasty was considered the oldest depiction of the circumcision operation, close in date to our relief fragment. The means of this depiction was subject of debate, etc., etc. However, the long accepted interpretation of the relief as a circumcision scene needs to be reconsidered. Where does it say it, man? Where does it say it? Let me just quickly do this. Let's just do this. BCE. And see how long ago this was taking place. Okay, so actually has it here as 2,750. Let's see if I can just type in 2,750 inside of the article itself. Nope, it's not working like that. I know it's usually got the dates, and I'm struggling to give you the date right now. I apologize, but you will see that it was taking place. The oldest depiction they say they have is 2,750 BCE, but in terms of the records, it goes back to the pre-dynastic times. And I wonder if I can get this up. It says, even though male circumcision was practiced in Egypt from the pre-dynastic times, very little direct evidence about the operation itself is available from the millennia of Egyptian history. The reliefs and statues showing both noble and lower class of the society, circumcised and physical mummified remains from all periods of the Egyptian history indicate that circumcision was generally practiced among the Egyptian population. Okay, so we can see from this article and the citations that they given, we know that it was taking place a long time ago, a very long time ago. I want to see if I can just bring something up though. You can actually see it itself. Here we go. Let me try this. Circumcision.
This is interesting, you know. Do you know why? It's interesting because I wanted to know. So you see, Muslims and Jews and Christians, do they get circumcised? Do they say, it says in the text that they have to get circumcised?
For the Christian, not anymore.
Say again?
For the Christian, not anymore. Obviously,
For the Christians, not anymore.
Yeah, prior to Christianity, well, prior to Jesus, yeah, it would still be customary to have a circumcision.
Prior to Jesus. So did Jesus get circumcised?
For example,
yeah, Jesus was circumcised. He follows every ritual a normal Jewish person at that time would.
Okay. So then, another reason why, because I wanted to know, is would Adam have been circumcised? Who would have circumcised him, the first man?
To be honest, it's not in there, so I can't really make a call on that.
That's what I wanted to ask too. I wanted to ask, have the Egyptians circumcised before the tribal Africans?
That's what it says. They don't know. They don't know. From Herodotus histories, he's saying the Ethiopians, which is the rest of mainland Africa, they don't know which one actually came first. And remember, the Egyptians are really true offsprings of the people themselves.
Right. Have you
The first Adam wouldn't have been circumcised.
Mm.
Thinking about it, because if he was made perfect, then obviously what was the need to circumcise him?
Right. Have you guys studied the ancient African culture?
Which ones?
We studied quite a
Uh,
yes.
Yeah,
it's,
which
it's
ones?
any
You
of
sure
them.
these
I
guys have?
mean, it's so many of them. I mean, like the Nook. You ever heard of the Nook?
Yeah, the knock culture. Yeah, that's
No,
you
yeah.
know about that's Nigeria. That's where I'm from. Yeah, part of that. Yeah.
Yes. So
Oh,
do you have
wow.
you have
Yeah,
any studies on ancient or that African culture of that specific region?
yeah, 100.
Okay.
What is it you wanted to know?
Was they circumcising in the African, in that tribe?
100,
Was they
100%.
circumcising?
Yeah.
Was
So
that
in
was that
in my culture, in Nigeria, the tribe that I'm part of in Nigeria, which is the Yoruba culture, yeah, the boys do get circumcised, and they do
do you
practice circumcision. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
do you think that's do you think they was doing that before Egypt?
I would. Well, boy, now that's a good question because now, what me and the brother Kalam, obviously, we still have to do a show on that. Is to show you that obviously there was interactions between the people from West Africa and the people from East Africa as well. So somewhere and even to the point, I would even say that they was relatives. So I would say obviously the same traditions would have spread. So
Okay.
if they're family members, that same understanding of getting circumcised would have spread over to West Africa if they traveled.
So just to be clear, in your opinion, you
Yeah.
think that West Africa was doing circumcision before Egypt?
No, I didn't
Just
say
to be clear.
doing it before. I didn't say doing it before. All I'm saying is that they both, if the people from West Africa would have surely have picked it up from the people from East Africa, or it could have been vice versa. Who knows? But all I know is that they were both in contact or in contact to be able to get it done, to know of it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I'll just ask some questions.
Yeah, man, that's calm.
So the thing I wanted to go back to was when you were talking about Melchizedek. If I can, or did you not want to explain something else?
Go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Basically, when you first started it, obviously Melchizedek's coming out and he's obviously greeting Abraham. Well, we know that obviously before that incident, his meeting with Melchizedek, Abraham has already been visited by God. It was God who told him, obviously, leave the land, take your family and go, sort of thing. So this obviously happened when Lot had departed from Abraham, and he's met this priest. Now, granted, this priest, he can be from Kemet. He's a priest in Kemet. I haven't got an issue with that, but he does say to Abraham that obviously the Most High. He doesn't so much when you were talking back in the beginning of the show about nature and that. This guy actually attributes creation to a Most High being, sort of thing. Obviously, Abraham knows because he's conversated with this person. So isn't it like an affirmation of a creator being? And going back to what Gabs was saying about Moses and that, how the 40 years of teaching in Kemet obviously could have influenced his what he later wrote, or what we believe that he wrote. But what I'm saying is he also spent 40 years with God in the wilderness and 40 years as a shepherd outside of Kemet prior to that.
Can I ask you a question?
Years? Yeah, go for it.
Can I ask you a question, bro?
Yeah.
So going back, so you wanted to say about the nature and obviously Melchizedek is an Egyptian, yeah, and dealing with nature, right?
Yeah.
So then now, let me ask you a question. To you, right now, what would in the physical, what would you see or what would you say is the Most High?
Is the most?
The Most High.
I don't know. What I see now outside in creation.
In creation, what's the Most High? What would you classify as the Most High?
Well, the sky. If you're talking about height, yeah.
Not even past the sky that you can see.
I don't think I could sort of label the Most High in creation, so to speak.
Okay, so
I'm fine with the
creation,
fact that he's undescribable.
Let me give you an example. So what I'm trying to say is, from a physical aspect, if you're going to deal with a being that's all-seeing, a being that sustains us and keeps us alive, a being that interacts with us every day,
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that is in the physical? What is that in the physical sense?
Yeah.
No, the sun.
When you say the sun,
The sun.
okay.
You see what I'm saying? So the sun, to you, would be seen as the Most High, right? In the
Yeah. See,
physical.
but that's putting it in the physical box, though.
Yeah, but then remember,
See,
if
you're
you're
already forcing me to put it into a physical box and then attribute it to something that's physical. Then
no, because remember, hold on, because remember, one thing we was mentioning is, remember, you're dealing with knowledge. Knowledge is education, and the first thing that's going to be teaching you is nature. Like I was showing how Adam, from the Quranic point of view, God had to teach Adam everything. You see what I'm saying? To do with nature. That's the first thing you have to teach him, nature. Everything's dealing with education and what you know. Because remember, if you're going to talk about a Most High and stuff, remember, it says most of these people didn't see God physically. Remember, God had departed ever since Adam had supposedly fallen. You know what I mean?
No,
God had left.
people did see him after, like Enoch to walk with God for like 300 years.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So there's people down there who've obviously kept this tradition going on up until Noah, obviously, and then obviously Noah's then taken it on for us lot.
I hear that. That's fine. But dealing with the knowledge base and dealing with understanding to them, if you're dealing with that kind of teaching and dealing with nature, I just wanted to show you that the Most High to those people would have been seen as the sun. That's the clear thing that you can see.
Yeah. I get that's where you were going. So Melchizedek, in a way, was basically, as he was saying, the Most High.
Yes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that story's from the Hebrew scriptures, and obviously the Hebrew has this narrative of who that Most High is, and it doesn't say that Abraham disagreed with Melchizedek. It seems like they were on the same page, sort of thing.
But he just said Most High. He didn't say Yahweh. He didn't say.
No, I know.
Didn't give no
he didn't
names.
call him by name, but he
Exactly. So why
Abraham
would you then?
didn't rebuke him. Obviously, Abraham knows the Most High at that point, so. Surely,
okay.
And obviously the circumstances around Melchizedek, obviously him not having parents, he's obviously someone else. Do you know what I mean?
But then this is what I'm trying to say. That teaching, whatever Melchizedek they was talking about and they agreed upon, for then after Abraham to then take on the circumcision, which obviously we just showed is coming from Egypt. And this is another reason why I asked the question if Adam was circumcised, because if Adam wasn't circumcised, what would be the reason why Abraham would now take on the circumcision that an Egyptian person is telling him? And do you see what I'm saying? Because it written?
The promise starts from Abraham. The promise of as in it's through his lineage that basically Jesus will eventually come. So Abraham is the start of that sort of thing. So that tradition is the start.
So is Abraham not from the lineage of Adam?
Yeah, Abraham's from the lineage of Adam. But don't forget, Adam had two sons, Cain and Abel. So obviously the promise isn't going to go through Cain because he murdered Abel.
Okay, but what about? So the promise isn't going to go through Cain. So then that means
it would go through the descendants of Abel. But Abel died, so then it went through the descendants of Seth, I believe, is who Noah's lineage comes from.
Okay, so either way, it's still going through a lineage. So did Seth and all these other people after that, Noah, did they get circumcised? Were they involved in the promise?
Well, no, but what is circumcision? Isn't it?
Exactly. So this is my point. This is the point I'm trying to get to. Did God speak of circumcision to those guys prior to Abraham? Because now, obviously, Abraham has taken on something from a priest, and this is the whole point. I think what Brother Kalam is trying to show. Abraham has now taken on something from a priest who is clearly an Egyptian, who's a knowledgeable priest, and now he's taken on this ritual of doing circumcision where we can't see prior to that. Like you said, Abraham spoke to God prior to him meeting this priest, but he didn't mention anything about circumcision, did he? No. But it's only until he's bumped into this so-called Egyptian priest, all of a sudden now, people are getting circumcised. And from then onwards now, people are carrying on this Egyptian ritual of being circumcised. So this is why I wanted to know where if God is not mentioning this prior to Noah, Adam, Seth, all the people prior, and even Abraham prior, because he didn't even mention it before he left, like you said, then they're basically taking on customs and rituals of the Egyptian priest or of the Egyptian people, basically.
Yeah, I get how you're making. Yeah, I get how that sort of what you're saying, sort of thing. But it couldn't God not have introduced it to Abraham at that certain particular point in history, even though it might have been practiced elsewhere. But what I'm saying is the reason for bringing it at that time in history is obviously that there's a promise that is specifically made to Abraham. So this is something Abraham has to do for his children from now on, for this basically this plan to get into motion.
Now the question is this then, is it's either God knew that those Egyptian people were still carrying that or practicing that same, practicing or carrying the customs of the Most High, and those and the people of the people of the lineage of Adam down to Abraham obviously didn't have this practice. They didn't know of it. So that's why, hence the reason why he had to finally bump into this Egyptian and get this thing done and him teach him this ways. Do you see what I'm saying? The same way.
So you could be right, or maybe you're not even agreeing to this. Say Adam was circumcised, obviously, because through Cain, another set of children would have come, and obviously some of these customs could have been taken down.
But then this is what my question would be. My question would have been then, who would have circumcised Adam?
Well, maybe after the fall. I can only see circumcision being a requirement after the fall. So maybe after the fall, these are instructions God might have given him. But this is all hypothetical because, like I said, there's no text in there to say.
This is what I'm saying. We're guessing, but then that's why it was a good question to throw out there. That who would have circumcised Adam if he's the first man? Who would have circumcised him?
Yeah, but he would have given Adam instructions. Adam could have circumcised himself. He would just need instructions.
Let me jump in, right? Yeah. Number one, sorry, that's nothing completely different. Please mute mics, everybody. Let's get it in now. My brother was talking earlier on. What did I actually want to bring up? There was something he said I wanted to actually bring up to people so that people could actually know. But one of the things is, when a lot of times people are so spooked out here that people literally think that someone's just talking out thin air to certain people and so forth, rather because people aren't actually educated with inside of the mystery systems themselves, or a temple complex or a university level where you're learning spirituality, metaphysics, and all the things that these complexes actually teaches. Okay, number one, for those people who, when we're talking about, people talk about Jerusalem, Jerusalem, I want you lot to search the meaning of what Jerusalem means, what it actually means. Most people will get the etymology for the word Jerusalem as being Yeru or Iru Salam or Iru Shalom. Okay, and there are several meanings for that. Iru literally means a city. Okay, and it also says it actually means an instruction, as in Ara, which literally means to educate. A city of education, or place of education of peace. Okay, so this city complex or this temple complex, okay, we have the same term, but we literally drop the P and you get the same word. So for example, our temples, for those people who know what our temples are called, what's called, Gabs, in the Egyptian language? It's like a great house, basically. Do you know what a great house is called in the Egyptian language, real quickly? All right, I'll quickly say it then. I don't know if your mic is not working or not working, but I know you, because you know that called a pharaoh because it's a great house, but it's actually
Sorry, bro. I was actually getting a charger. I just ran back in. What was you saying?
I was gonna ask you what is a temple called if it's a Kemet? What is the word for a temple, the Egyptian word, or a great house called, or house or building called?
Oh, the per.
So we're talking about the per, which is actually pronounced pier. If you actually go and look, okay, it's pronounced pier, which is literally when you drop the P, because sometimes they drop the P. If you go into search what the word pharaoh means, just quickly do a search pharaoh and how the Coptics actually drop the P from the pharaoh, because they think it's actually a preposition of pa, and they just drop it and says ra ra, basically, in terms of the Coptic language. It's the same thing in terms of the temple as well. When you go into learning, find out places inside of it that has Egyptian temples complexes called Piatum or Pyramids, etc., etc. What it is pier, and we drop the P, the ear as well, and literally means a city. It's actually not just a temple, actually the complex that the city and the temple actually holds itself. So it's the whole complex itself is actually called a pier. And what they were talking about in this particular pier or this particular ear, where education is taking place, because every pier or every hut or every temple deals with education. Even the name tells you it deals with education. This particular education system was dealing with shalom or salam or hotep in terms of the Egyptian name. When you go into the Egyptian name and you see what literally shalom and salam or hotep literally means, it literally means to give a gift, to give offerings of wine and bread. You'll see it. For those people who know about hotep, you'll see a picture of a mat, stool. You have a bread on there, and you have also a wine or beer on there. Literally, that's what salam or peace actually meant to us. It was an offering of gifts. Okay, it's an offering of gift. If you're really in peace, if you're really whole, yeah, is when you're actually satisfied, when you have no hunger, you have no thirst. Okay, when you have no hunger and you have no thirst. So this was an education complex that was dealing with giving offerings to a particular divine entity, which would have been Elyon El, which is, of course, is talking about the Most High deity itself. But let me go more into that real quickly, because most people don't understand that, you know, what the Quran is talking about at times, and even what the Bible is talking about at times. So let me just quickly give you a quick breakdown of what is going on. So if you actually go to a book, it's called the Melchizedek Tradition, a critical examination of the sources. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but hopefully you can. All right, and it gives you a nice table of what the different titles and names, okay, that was given to this particular entity called Melchizedek throughout the years. Okay, one of the titles is King of Peace or King of Salam, Priest of Salam of Jerusalem, Priest of Elyon, founder of Temple, founder of Jerusalem, heavenly figure, first priest of God, unlearned priesthood, Basilius Dikaios. Yeah, I think that's Basilius Dikaios. Literally means a king of sugar. Sorry, I'm losing my Greek. But anyways, then you have King of Peace. Then you have Logos, which is literally, when you get into Christianity, you have the word of God or the speech of Allah. Okay, the Logos, the word, the speech. Okay, then you have the eschatological figure. Then you got the friend of Abraham. Okay, then you got received tithes, entertains army, and is also called an Elohim or an El. All right, now bear these two epithets in mind. Okay, bear these two epithets in mind: friend of Abraham and army. And also Elohim, which is another way of saying God. Bear those two titles: friend of Abraham and Elohim. And then when you go into the Quranic scriptures, you see that this same title is actually given, but in this respect, they think it's somebody else. What do I mean by this? If you go to Surah Al-Nisa and you go to verse 125, it says here, and who is better in religion than one who submits himself to Allah while being a doer of good and follows the religion, okay? And follows the religion, okay? The religion, which really and truly here is the millah. It's not actually Deen, it is Milata. You like that, yeah? It's the Milat of Ibrahim, okay? Those who follow the Milat of Ibrahim, inclining towards truth, he was a Hanifi, okay? We'll break down what the word Hanifi means, hopefully later on, okay? And this says inclining towards truth. And Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend, okay? Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend. Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend. In mind, one has to ask yourself the question: how can a mere man be friends with God? How can a mere man? Friendship actually intimates that one is on equal footing or one is on close relationship with a person. Okay, and it's saying here Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend. But guess what? Who was? Oh, sugar, we're not even reading. You're not even seeing it. Gabs, you could have warned me about this, man.
Sorry, but I just clocked as well. I was thinking I can't see what you're reading.
Oh man, I'm dropping the medicine and you can't even see it. And it says, okay,
there you go.
So 125 it says here, and who is better in religion? One who submits himself to Allah while being a doer of good and follow the religion of Ibrahim, inclining towards truth. And Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend, And the question is, who took Abraham as an intimate friend? Quite clearly right here, it says here, Melchizedek was the friend of Abraham. If you go into Philos works, it tells you he took him as a friend of Abraham. Go into the Qumran tablets, it tells you right there, Melchizedek was considered to be Elohim. So he was considered to be the Allah at this particular point, or the Ilah in this particular point, who was taking Abraham as a friend. And for those of you guys who don't understand the teachings of what it means to be a friend, okay, a friend in this particular instance, when you're talking about Khalil, it means somebody who is a close, nearest friend, somebody who's a bosom friend, okay, a bosom friend. But what does it mean to be a bosom friend? So I'm going to quickly go to just real quickly, because I ain't got no time. I'm going to go quickly to Wikipedia so you can kind of understand what it means inside of Judaic teachings, of what it means to be a friend of somebody, okay? And it says here, the word found in the Greek text for bosom is kolpos, meaning lap. This relates to the Second Temple period, practice of reclining and eating meals in proximity to other guests, the closest of whom physically to lie on the bosom of the host, okay? And then you can go over here and you can see it as well. So when you're talking about being a close friend, Allah took him as a very close friend, okay? Or Elohim took him as a very close friend. It's talking about the practice of actually giving offerings. You're actually giving offerings. It's a meal that you're taking place with, and he's now close with him in terms of friendship. And this is when this particular milat, okay, or the milat barith, or the particular rite of circumcision was given to him, okay, where he can now be somebody of importance. He could be an imam, he can be a leader to a nation. All right, and one has to understand what this is really talking about from an Egyptian conceptualization. When some of you lot may just actually enter into an Egyptian or into a Kemetic temple system, and you begin to learn certain things, let me just quickly drop it real quickly for you. After you've been initiated, okay, nowadays it's not to do with circumcision. There's other ways of being initiated, okay? You've been initiated. You now need to be educated. You now need to be educated. That's the next step. And we can clearly see, according to the Midrash, the Jews are told you that he was educated in the laws of the priesthood, in the showbread, in the libations. It also gives you another teachings where Melchizedek taught him about righteousness, taught him about charity, taught him how to actually pray. That's why and how to do oaths and so forth. When you go into the reading of Genesis 14, even 13, 15, up to 17, it gives you all of this information. After that, you've been tested and examined. The Quran talks about Ibrahim actually being tested and examined, okay? Once you pass that examination, remember there was the test that was taking place. For example, one of the tests was when one of the sons had to be put up for sacrifice, okay? You need to test your loyalty amongst the Elohim itself, okay? The Elohim, the gods, the nature, those divine principles need to know that you're fully ready to take it to the next step. Then once that takes place, you've now been given your covenant. It's like when you go to university, after you've been educated, okay, after you take your exams, what comes next? You've now been given a degree, okay? With that degree, or with that covenant, you now have inheritance, which we call the field of reeds, okay? Which the field of reeds is your inheritance. That means you've now been given a particular plot of land. Everybody wants their Jannah, okay? Most people think Jannah is somewhere else, but your Jannah is right here. Your garden, Jannah or Gan literally means your garden, your plot of land, your fields, where you're going to have your actual inheritance. Your actual inheritance, where you'll be the leader of that particular field, where you will now create your own temple system, okay? You've now been given a degree. You've now been given, for example, those of you guys who are part of certain things, you've been given your charter. Once you've been given your charter, that means you're able to open up a lodge. That means you're able to open up a chapter. That means you're able to open up a temple system. For other people, that you've gone through and got a franchise, okay? McDonald's is giving you a franchise. You've been educated, you've been tested. Now you've been given over the keys to a memorandum and governing body books. For example, when you register on Company House, you've now been given over your charter to set up your own McDonald's franchise, okay? You've got the whole system, a whole package that's been given to you, depending upon your particular level or grade of degree that you passed. Remember the concept of each one teach one. So you've now been given a particular level of information. Now you now can go off and teach your people. But every person that comes into your system now needs to follow those particular rites of your system. And those particular rites that he had to do, was every single one of his members of the household had to be circumcised. whether they are bought household members or whether they are actually part of the household. Remember, Ishmael, he was circumcised at the age of 13. Every single Ishmaelite from that period onwards, was then circumcised at the age of 13. When you go back into the records, go into Josephus, go back into the Roman literature. Of course, the Arabs don't do it today for some reason. They don't do it today, maybe because it's not inside of the Quran, but obviously it was the social practice. They were circumcised at the age of 13, all of them. Even the Egyptians, they were circumcised at a very late age to go through the initiation. It's only the Jews or Hebrews that are circumcised at the 8th day. And obviously, inside of African cultures as well, depending on who we are, we're circumcised on the 8th or the 9th day as well. But that's another story. But yeah, go ahead, G. Go ahead, G. I'm talking way too much. Go ahead, King. Talk.
You might ask a couple questions, man. You know, I hope y'all don't mind me asking questions. But
no problem. Wait, hold that question. I just want Gabs to talk first, and then you can ask.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, nah, man, brother. So yeah, you can ask your question, bro. I was gonna say, nah, man, brother. That's some serious breakdown there, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And you know what? Yeah, do you know what just came into my mind? I know it's just random, but it maybe even be something you need to look into. Even when you were saying about, you know, the Jewish kids getting circumcised at the age of 13, it just what just flew into my mind is just this whole 13th piece of Asar. What was the 13th piece? What was the piece that they couldn't find? You know what I mean? What was the piece, bro?
What was the penis, G? Is the piece with the penis, G?
The circumcised penis piece. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking, bro. I don't know.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's a bit too coincidental.
Trust me, it really is.
Yo, can I interject a sec? Do you lads support circumcision then?
100%.
Are you guys circumcised?
Yeah, but I am.
Yeah, but don't you think it's traumatic for a child to be like pinned down when it's a baby and like have its like penis slashed?
Okay,
I think that's a bit deep, you know.
The way you made it sound, like pinned down.
No, but it's true though. Seriously, like in like even their rabbi like puts their mouth on it and sucks the blood as well. You know, in the Jewish faith.
I don't know about it.
I just think it's weird, man.
Okay.
I just think it's unnecessary, you know.
One thing I'd say, yeah. Each to their own, you know. If the Jewish rabbi does it that way, that's the way they do it. You know what I mean? Remember, at the end of the day, these are people's cultural practices. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like hold on. That's like us, yeah. Right. That's like us going to a tribe who's been practicing a certain way, and then now you tell them, what you're doing is wrong, it's disgusting. Like, why you guys, like, I think it's traumatic, ain't it? This and this for the baby, but they're just gonna look at you thinking, but bro, who are you? Like, this is our culture. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if people practice this stuff in their culture and it's been going on for thousands of years prior to us even being born, do you see what I'm saying? And it's been fine and they've had no issues, then if now we then inherit that and still carry on the same ways, regardless of people nowadays think it's traumatic nowadays and and holding down the baby and pinning it down.
Yeah,
listen, it's been going on for thousands of years. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm sure it will continue. So, you know,
it's
a bit crazy, man. Who do you think circumcised Abraham, or you think he did, or do you think he did it himself?
I
don't even know the origins of it, man. But it's just weird.
I was just kind of curious is that they don't know who circumcised him, but yet they know he was circumcised. I was just curious of that.
Exactly.
I was wondering, did he do it himself? I know that shit would have hurt. Like,
one has to know exactly how to circumcise. That's key. That's fundamental. Circumcision is not something that you just do for the sake of just doing. You had to have been educated. And thankfully, we know that he's been visited by particular individuals, okay, that was well skilled, who were Egyptians that knew how to circumcise. You had people like Hagar, the princess, or even some say, okay, of Kemet, who was there as well, that knows the art of circumcision. Okay, you had a lot of people around him that knew the art of circumcision and how to actually circumcise. But of course, in certain scriptures, it doesn't give you the fullness of the story. It doesn't give the fullness of who's actually holding his bath water and then when he's there. But it just the key
Mhm.
information. All right. So what we saying? What we saying, man? We've been dropping some gems, you know. We have been dropping some.
Yeah. Also, are y'all saying the metadata have been deciphered to be a language?
Here we go.
Oh, my bad. I mean, I'm just trying to get a clarification. You know.
I hear you, man. This is kind of why I made sure that you know, we took charge of the UK community, because a lot of confusion, yeah, has been taking place in the US.
Yes.
Where like this is being asked, you know, like or even questions, you know, statements like this have been put forward by particular individuals here to cause mass confusion. People who aren't studied, who don't know anything about you know, language itself, about grammar, about morphology, about syntax, about linguistics. They're making some wild claims, like they actually study in this field to actually be able to make those claims. So of course not. Of course, those claims are completely fallacious. And you know, tell the African people that they don't know how to speak Medo-Netia. Tell the people with inside of Egyptology that know how to speak Medo-Netia. Tell us who actually study the language, when we go to these places, when we go to the museums and we read monuments and so forth, that we don't know how to, you know, write. Like it gets really ridiculous. It gets really, really ridiculous. Even the ridiculous things that we was hearing earlier on. I'm not blaming my brother for actually asking this question about world Egyptian or not. You know, we get these types of, and I don't even want to spend my time even you know, justifying or answering these questions to a grand extent of things, because it's just it's just a distraction.
All right. I mean,
Yeah, I hear you.
you know,
Fair enough.
All right. So guys, what we saying, King? What we saying?
Yeah, man. I'm not even gonna lie, but this was.
I was just going to ask a quick question about Gab's picture. Which pharaoh is that in the background?
Do you know what? Yeah, that picture, I have no idea. It didn't have no name. It was.
Okay.
I took that.
Is it in the museum?
No. It wasn't even in the museum. That's why I took it. It was mad. It was. It was actually
Deep.
in Harrods in London.
Ah, no way. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right, man. Nice. Respect.
But yeah, Brother Kalam, what was I gonna say? Do you know what? Yeah, I think this has been good. You know, you dropped a lot of gems today. I think we need to continue this with the part 2, because we need to get into the whole, you know, dealing with, you know, the China, you know,
Into China.
Yeah, you know, we got to deal with China. So, you know what I mean? I think we can let the people rest, let them sleep on this medicine, you know, and then probably, obviously, I know you're gonna do something behind the scenes, but let them rest on this, and then we'll come back and do a part 3. Then I think this will be part 3, because you did 1 earlier. This is number 2, and number 3. Yeah,
this is part 3. You know, yeah, this will be part 3 when we do another show on this. And of course, you know, that we haven't even touched the surface, to be honest. Well,
just
we haven't actually touched the surface.
It's too deep, man. It's too deep. Too much knowledge.
We've gone a little bit past the surface still, because there's so much more. You know, I wanted to go into how the you know, it all ties into the Sabaean, or the Sabians, or the Saba. I wanted to go into the Hanifis. I wanted to go into, let me think, what else could we have touched on? More into the Kemetic studies, going to GM, Stowe legacy, going to the curriculum, the actual curriculum that you learn within inside of the temple complex itself, or these temple complexes or universities or schools. I actually wanted to go more into KMTS and kind of, you know, enlighten people on the KMTS that we have over here, our own Kemetic organization, our own chapter, our own school, our own temple system, where you can actually learn, okay, the Kemetic philosophy in a nice, orderly fashion. You can now be initiated or come in or step in to learn more, and you can now start learning the mystic side of things, or the spiritual side of things, as well as the scientific side of things. So I wanted to go into a little bit of that, and of course, we could also went into you know, what we was talking before, the real, the here, the now, the practical. How do we put all of this into perspective? How do we look at you know, the world around us, such as the Chinese, and what they're doing in the world, and how we should really and truly, I want to say emulating them. I want to say we should be emulating ourselves, and they would be an actual reflection of what and who we are and should be in these days and times. But yeah, there's so much that we need to go into. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time of the day. We're in 2 hours of the morning, family. 2 hours in the morning. I know we've gone past 3-hour mark speaking to you here, family. But what I'm going to do is, no, I was leaving 4 hours. I'm even seeing 4 hours down there. Gosh, god damn, we've been hitting it hard. So what I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to send the link. Send the link to you guys, and then if you would like to join us on the after show, come in. You made our day, Kalam. I hope you know that us believe in the Most High, showing these connections is mad appreciated. Love, my family, love. Kalam, please make me a moderator so I can kick out certain people. Again, if you've got any quick comments or questions that you would like to make, young, shouts out to Road to Jen. I see you, brother. If you would like to, please come onto the panel. I definitely want to have you on the panel. Don't be fearful, anything like that. Treat you good. We're definitely going off air, so there's nothing to be worried about. Kiss Spence is in the building. Oh man. Israelite says here, and this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt that were males. Even all the men of war died in the wilderness, by the way, after they came out of Egypt. Okay. And it says here, Betty, okay. So, we done a lot about circumcision. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Sorry that we spoke about circumcision so much. I didn't even really want it to be the highlight of the show itself. It just showed that basically the connection between Kemet and the three monotheistic religions, how we were considered to be the originators of these particular priesthood. The Christians will bow down to that fact that the priesthood of Melchizedek supersedes any other physical priesthood, and Jesus actually sits after the order, not even before the order, but after the order of Melchizedek. So I just wanted to make sure you know these things. So when we're speaking out Kemetic stuff here, like it's not so we're speaking it out of love for you guys, because we know where your stuff originated from, and we're not saying in a bad-minded way or in a sunning way. It's just facts. It's kind of like facts. Like a Christian will always acknowledge that their education, their teachings come out of the Jewish out of the Jewish Torah and books, or the Nebaim, or the books of the prophets, etc. And of course, Jesus was a fulfillment of all of those things. There's no shirking behind that. Well, there shouldn't be no shirking behind it, to be honest with you. So we can see all of these things. So I just want you guys to understand that in Kemet, we had our own priesthood itself. We had our own priesthood, and we were the one who was initiating the majority of the prophets in the Bible. We was the ones initiating Ibrahim or Abraham. We was the one who made Joseph a vizier inside of Egypt. He was buried as an Egyptian. Most of the prophets were buried as Egyptians. You go to Hezekiah, you can still see he has an Egyptian seal. You can travel all the way down in Job and all them different books there. It's all Egyptianized. We can go down to the time of Jesus. You'll see that his lineage traces back to Hermes, or traces back to what you would consider to be Enoch. Okay, we have all of these records here. It tells you that he was wax wise in wisdom. He went to Egypt, come back, he confounded all of these different people in the temple systems and so forth. We have all of these records stating these things over and over again. We have the same teachings to do with Muhammad. He tells you, he's come giving you the Hanafi religion. Y'all don't even ask who was the first to practice the Hanafi religion. Who gave the Hanafi religion to Ibrahim for him to practice? Y'all don't even ask these questions. You don't even ask the questions of why is he being educated by the Hanafi people? The Hanafi people were the ones who were telling him he would be a prophet, etc., etc., etc. So much, so much. Like your whole book is littered with Egyptians. Y'all don't even know. When y'all reading Iqra, Bismillah, all of that Iqra, Bismillah Rabbika, Alazi al-Khalaka, reading with your sustain, who created you from a clot of blood. Just quickly go to the Bukhari and ask them, what is this chapter? Who is this chapter actually talking about? Who was the first one to taught mankind that which they did not know? Who was the first one to teach mankind science? Who was the first one to write by the pen and so forth? And they'll tell you it's Enoch, who's known as Hermes, who's known as Trismegistus, who's known as Jehuti, or taught with inside of the Egyptian school of thought. Everything that we're telling you about, all goes back, all roads lead back home to Kemet, because Kemet was the foundation of it all in terms of these three monotheistic religions. But some people would deny us, some people call us devil worshippers, some people call us all different types of names underneath the sun. not knowing that your system is actually coming straight from us. But that's another story for another day. Let's get it in. Let's get it.
Yeah. Which one is more important to you? Which one is more important to you, or more worth searching? The ancient Kemetic.
Save that question for when we actually close out the show, because we're trying to close out the show right now. Gabs, if you wanted to say something real quickly to close out, please do.
No, I was gonna say, man, it was a good show. Obviously, I'm sorry I missed the first part. I wish I was there, but better late than never. So, it's been a good show. Some big information you were dropping today, man. Dropping some real knowledge, dropping that real medicine. That's what we deliver. 100% medicine, baby. Straight from the soul, straight from the heart. So, I'd like to say peace to everyone that tuned in. Peace to everyone on the panel that had their questions and stuff. And we'll see you guys again on part 3. And tune into that medicine. Medicine. Be there.
Medicine. No, man, we got to start just coming in right now. Gosh, this show would have popped off with us. I was here from before. But we'll catch up with everybody. I'm signing out now. It's late. It's 2:20 morning. It's time for bed. I'm joking. Y'all stay up, man. Y'all jump in, man. Jump in and catch a vibe with us. And let me just send this link over to y'all again. Kiss Spence, love to you, Queen. Who else is here? It says, great job, Gabs. And Kalam, the vibes and spirit medicine man and the teacher. Jeez. King Coda says, yeah, man, good show. Okay, I can't even read. It's going too fast. All right, cool. So family, we're logging off right now, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Love, peace.